After more than 30 years in the middle of it, we could tell you stories.
Over the years, Tucker Carlson has made headlines for dozens of reasons, especially his many controversies. Recently, he was in the news after his shocking exit from Fox News. But it turns out that there are actually some more shocking things about Tucker that most people don't know about, including his weirdly secretive marriage. But I don't want to waste any more time, so let's get into it. One thing that people don't talk about nearly enough is Tucker's lesser-known marriage to his high school sweetheart, Susan. Even though Tucker can't seem to stop jumping from one controversy to another, his marriage to Susan has spanned decades. Tucker and Susan first met when they were both attending St. George's School in Rhode Island, where Susan's dad was the headmaster. According to Tucker, Susan was the cutest 10th grader in America, and I guess you could say that was what caught his attention right away. For Susan, on the other hand, what drew her to Tucker was the optimism and positivity that she said he radiated. Even though Tucker and Susan started dating when they were still in high school, Tucker still went out of his way to ask Susan's father for her hand in marriage while they were in college. According to Tucker, that was a very 19th century thing to do, but still, he went ahead and did it. And after Susan's father gave him his blessing, the two of them got engaged, and in 1991, they got married. 4 years later, in 1995, they welcomed their first daughter, Lily, and that was when Susan decided to stop working. After this, they went on to have 3 more kids. Tucker and Susan have an amazing relationship and a bond that has stood the test of time. I mean, their marriage honestly sounds a little bit like something that might be too good to be true, almost like it came out of a fairy tale, but unfortunately it didn't, because if it did, then what I'm about to say would have never happened. Behind Tucker and Susan's supposedly endearing love story lies a trail of scandals that have threatened to shake the foundation of their marriage more than once. If you know Tucker and Susan, you'll know that they have been extremely private about their personal lives and marriage. Since Tucker is an on-air personality, this probably hasn't always been the easiest thing to do, but somehow Tucker and Susan still do it pretty well. I mean, they're so private about their relationship that some people don't even know that they're actually married in the first place. Now, this is just speculation, but I think that the reason they're this secretive could be that they don't want to draw the wrong kind of attention. But if that's the case, I have to say it, but their plan has failed them on multiple occasions, and the most dangerous one happened a few years ago. In November 2019, shortly after Election Day, some protesters gathered outside of Tucker and Susan's home in the Kent neighborhood of Washington, D.C. According to some reports, Tucker wasn't home at the time, but neither were any of his and Susan's kids. But unfortunately, Susan herself was home, and she was the only person around. And while this whole thing started as just a bunch of random people gathering in front of Tucker and Susan's home, it all eventually blew up into something much more serious. According to the Washington Metropolitan Police Department, about 20 protesters went to Tucker and Susan's home, and some even chanted, "Tucker Carlson, we will fight, we know where you sleep at night." At first, they were just yelling at the front of the home, but then everything took a different turn when someone started throwing themselves against Tucker and Susan's front door, so much so that the door even cracked. Tucker later said that he believed that this wasn't a protest. According to him, those people weren't protesting about anything specific he had to say. They weren't protesting a policy or advocating for legislation. Tucker said that he thought that they were threatening him and his family and telling him to leave his home and the neighborhood he grew up in. In the end, Tucker and Susan were luckily able to push through this with the help of the police. But this really wasn't the only problem that they've ever faced. During Tucker's craziest fast rise to fame, whispers of him and Susan facing challenges in their marriage began to circulate. It was said that the intense scrutiny of the media and the weight of Tucker's public persona caused a lot of problems in their marriage. Whenever a controversy involving Fox News and Tucker rose, questions about Tucker and Susan's marriage followed suit. People would always question the impact Tucker's job had on his personal life and, more specifically, his relationship with Susan. But from the looks of things, his job hasn't actually had that much of an impact on them in the grand scheme of things. Because despite everything, his and Susan's relationship still appear to be strong. I mean, how else would their marriage have lasted for this long? There's also the fact that they knew exactly what they were getting into from day one. When Tucker's career kicked off, Susan quit her job as a school teacher so that she could take care of their 4 children, while Tucker rose up the ranks at CNN first, followed by MSNBC, and eventually Fox. And despite all the controversial comments and conservative viewpoints, Susan hasn't left Tucker's side once. Time and time again, she's proven that she had Tucker's back through thick and thin, but that doesn't mean that she hasn't faced her own fair share of controversies, even though she tried her best to live a very private life. Back in 2016, it was revealed that her father George, who was the headmaster of the school she and Tucker attended, had been accused of failing to report SA claims made against a teacher at the school. According to her father, at the time these supposed allegations happened, he wasn't aware of what was going on. However, he did fire a choir master at the school for inappropriate contact with a student, but he never reported the harm to the authorities. According to George's lawyer, he really regrets what happened and wishes that he had done more about this case, especially since more people who claim they were victims have since come out. Tucker also often speaks about how communication and trust play a huge role in his and Susan's relationship, and he credits Susan for being his rock and supporting him during the best and worst times. And depending on how you see it, right now might be a mix of both. I mean, Tucker just got fired and Fox News didn't really say why. Losing your job obviously isn't really a good thing. Then again, from the looks of things, he and Susan don't seem to mind much, and they still look pretty much happy. 2 days after Tucker was fired, he and Susan were enjoying a golf cart ride outside their Florida mansion. Even when Tucker was asked how they were holding up, he insisted that retirement was great. Now he has more time to spend with his wife and children, which kind of makes you wonder if his firing was actually a mutual decision. But what do you guys think? Do you think Tucker getting fired was actually planned or not? What do you think about him and Susan as a couple? Let me know in the comments below.